r/askreddit. What is considered disrespectful in your country? It's considered disrespectful, perhaps even irreverent, for a man to wear a hat in church. Women can wear hats in church, if they wish, but not men, even in winter, when it's cold outside and the building is only minimally heated.
For women, covering your head used to be required. When my grandma was little, if she forgot her bonnet, the nuns made her wear a tissue on her head.
My dad would make me wear his handkerchief, even if it had boogers on it.
Being loud in public transportation. This includes laughing loudly.
Saw a lot of these douches while visiting Japan, which had no talking signs plastered throughout the trains. SMH damn tourists.
Not taking your shoes off when you enter someone's home.
It's weird. I'm from the US and I've grown up under the assumption that the opposite is rude. I always keep my shoes on because I don't want to just take a load off like I own the place.
I'm from the US too. My mum always said to leave your shoes on because you don't live there and you don't want to stink up their house if you have sweaty feet, etc. Moved to Shanghai and I quite prefer the whole don't bring that dirt into the house mentality. Also, slippers.
To sit down and your shoes are facing the one you're talking to. I suspect he meant the sole of the shoe facing a person is considered rude. I have heard of this in Arab countries. There are very specific rules about offering tea to someone in Ireland. When someone offers you tea you have to say no. Then they have to are you sure and you have to say no thank you I'm certain. Then they have to go on you'll have a bit. Then you have to go no I'm fine thanks. It keeps going on like this until one person gives in. So if you offer someone tea and they say no you have to keep pushing. If you don't it's just not Irish. Not holding the door for the person behind you. It's okay to go first. But unless the person behind you has their arms full, it's a bit weird to just stand there like you're the doorman at the Ritz and let others go ahead of you, unless it's your boss or your friend. But letting a door slam shut when someone is just a couple steps behind you is generally considered rude. You hold it until the other person has grabbed it, then continue on. This applies to both men and women. Calling someone older than you by their first name only. We're opposite here. Using anything other than first name is too formal and makes people feel awkward. Germany. Being late to an appointment, even though it's a meet-up with friends, is considered very, very rude. TBH I would hate letting someone wait for me so I always arrive half an hour too early even to doctor appointments.
Laughs in Nigerian.
I don't know how true this is, but apparently, the misconception that it's polite to slurp noodles in Japan came from the fact that slurping allows you to eat the broth with the noodles. Otherwise the broth just falls back into the bowl. You should hear my office full of from Asia people during lunchtime. Mouths open, unrestrained smacking, followed by 30 minutes of what sounds like a dentist's office as they suck their food from their teeth with their tongue and compete for who can be loudest. If you bump into someone, it's expected that you say you're sorry. Makes sense. But if someone bumps into you, you also say sorry. And if you almost bump into someone, you still say sorry. So when someone bumps into me or almost bumps into me, and I say sorry but they don't say it back, I feel a deep rage within me that the Canadian code has been disrespected. I don't need to be sorry, but I said it. How dare you stay silent? I'm Canadian. Once saw a guy apologize to the door he bumped into, and another guy said sorry when he dropped his wallet on the ground. It's such an automatic response here lol. I've also been in what I call a Canadian standoff. I approached a building with a bunch of glass doors to enter. Saw someone on the other side of the door I was approaching. So I moved over a door. So did he. Then another door. Then he awkwardly opened the door and insisted I go through it first, which was a whole other thing. We both had a laugh over it. Not engaging in small talk. People are so affronted if you don't do the whole "how are you? I'm fine. There is weather outside." My husband and I are seriously so bad about this and need to move to Finland.
In Sweden, it is the direct opposite. If you start small talk here, then we will know you haven't lived here for any longer period of time.
Not saluting every car that passes you on rural roads with a slight raise of your fingers off the steering wheel, and in the case of actually knowing the person, lifting the entire hand off the steering wheel.
For some Indian weddings, please don't come on the dot as written on the invitation. Come an hour later. If you come on time, or God forbid, early to a wedding and you are not one of the immediate family members or assistants to the couple, it would be assumed that you believe that their hospitality is lacking and want to help them for an event that they meticulously planned. It's true in my part of India though. Not very sure of other parts of India. Not it may be similar.
Growing up and moving out from your parents' house. For the men, I understand why it's not preferred. The idea being that you start your family without having to worry about raising kids or housing. But why the entire world throws up a shit about it if someone decides not to, and is fine, is beyond me. Like I've had teachers in 6th grade or so giving long-winded speeches about how disrespectful it is. Swearing at someone, then shanking them right in the neck.
Then cutting them into pieces, then throwing them away.
Yeah, and eating it as well. Then they urinate on the remains. Other than lifting up the middle finger, I think nothing pretty much. We don't like when foreigners immediately jump to the Pablo Escobar jokes after we tell them where are we from though. I guess by now y'all know where I'm from.
South Sudan.
Seems more like an East Sudaner to me.
Existing.
Hello fellow North Korean.
Japan is interesting because there are a lot of customs that are disrespectful. Absolutely don't tip. That's very disrespectful and implying they need to work harder, or maybe it implies their work isn't sufficient enough. Basically complete opposite of American ideas of tipping. Eating on the go, for instance, is disrespectful. Also, Japanese people will hand you things with both hands, and not doing so is considered disrespectful. Even if it's a small card or dollar bill. Let's say someone gives you their business card. Your thought might be, oh cool, I'll just put this in my wallet for later. But that's also disrespectful. In essence, the card is a part of them and you're treating them like they belong in your back pocket. I'm not Japanese, but I took a Japanese design class and got to travel there for spring break. It was dope class and we learned a lot about Japanese. Job is super international, and what I've found is that there's really not a country that's perpetually late or incredibly punctual. Most are on time. With that said, my clients from Spain and Morocco are never on time. We actually set the dinners meetings 30 minutes after we tell them and they still show up late. Subscribe. Thank you guys. Drop a comment to let me know what sort of Reddit posts you like. Don't forget to subscribe.